This is From the South. Residents of Gaza have been taking advantage of the 12-hour ceasefire to collect the bodies of the dead and stock up on food. Just before the ceasefire began, Israeli bombing killed 18 members of one family in the city of Khan Yunis.
As you can see, the streets today in the Gaza Strip are busy since the announcement of the 12 hours humanitarian truce, and the people of Gaza went out of their homes this morning to buy their basic needs such as water, bread, food, because they don't know what's going to happen after this truce ended. Also, this truce gave the chance to the paramedics and the people who are working in the rescue teams to enter districts as Shija'iyya and Beit Hanun and evacuated almost 73 people who were killed and were not evacuated until today. People on the ground wish that this truce could continue for at least the next few days, but at the same time they are supporting the resistance and wishing that Gaza's siege will be lifted.
Venezuela's appeal against the arrest of its diplomat in the Dutch island of Aruba continues. President Maduro called the arrest a kidnapping, while the United States is trying to extradite the former Venezuelan intelligence chief and ally of Hugo Chavez. Russia's main consumer protection agency has filed a lawsuit against McDonald's. The agency claims its inspectors have found food standards violations. The suit could temporarily ban the production and sale of some of the chain's desserts and burgers. The court case comes at a low point in Russian-U.S. relations, after Washington imposed sanctions on some top Russian officials, and firms allegedly linked to the pro-Russian uprising in eastern Ukraine. The United States closed its Libyan embassy today, citing increased instability in the country. A State Department spokesperson said clashes between rival militias near the U.S. Embassy in Tripoli prompted the evacuation of diplomatic personnel to Tunisia. The decision came a day after Turkey also evacuated its embassy. In recent months, Libya's government has become unable to control militias vying for control of swaths of the country. A rebel chief in the Central African Republic says he will ignore a ceasefire reached on Thursday. Seleka chief Joseph Zundeko told the BBC the Seleka's military wing wasn't consulted and will fight on. The country has been in chaos since 2012, with fighting between the Seleka and rival anti-Balaka militia killing thousands. Both militias have been accused of war crimes. Zundeko's statement could douse cold water on hopes of an imminent end to the war. Today, Cuba is celebrating the 61st anniversary of the storming of the Moncada barracks. Cuban President Raul Castro is presiding over events in Artemisa, to the southwest of the capital. On the 26th of July, 1953, the struggle against the dictatorship of Fulgencio Batista began. 5 years later, the Cuban Revolution was victorious. Under Batista, 43% of the rural population was illiterate, and 60% of Cubans lived in huts with dirt floors.
In September of 2013, elements of the state security forces evicted a group of 2,000 dissident teachers holding a peaceful sit-in in Mexico's main plaza, the Zócalo.
They easily evicted us and beat many of our comrades. It was a very ugly raid.
Since the 2012 return of the Institutional Revolutionary Party to the president's office, human rights organizations observe an increase in effort by state and federal authorities to limit or even criminalize different forms of public protest.
Las organizaciones creemos que hay un momento crítico respecto al ejercicio de la protesta en nuestro país.
Many organizations believe that we are in a critical moment in reference to exercising protest in our country. Understanding that the right to protest is a right that can make democratic countries more robust, and that right now in Mexico,
many social actors say that legal threats and police force will not intimidate them from exercising what they say is their fundamental right to freedom of expression.
A pesar de que hicimos
So even though we try to intimidate with our presence, finally our only weapon is our voice and discourse.
Analysts warn that public officials seek to discredit social protest without actually responding to the causes of discontent in the first place. Human rights defenders say that scenes like those behind me are not a threat to public order, but are in fact a sign of a healthy democracy. Clayton Kahn, Telesur, Mexico City.
This is the sound that can be heard echoing out across the revolutionary barrio of the 23 de Enero in Caracas every day at 4:25 p.m. The exact time when Venezuelan president and leader of the Bolivarian Revolution, Hugo Chavez, lost his battle with cancer on the 5th of March 2013.
He did so much for us, the poor, the working class, the elderly, children, the indigenous. He was the only president who really cared about each one of us. He was like magic. We were an overflowing river when that man died, sadness, total mourning, because we all identified with him.
The leader's final resting place is here in the former military history museum known as the Mountain Barracks of Caracas. Over a year since he passed away, and many still refuse to say that he has died. Instead, they state that Chavez simply multiplied.
His project has been multiplied because the Venezuelan people have given it continuity, and those who support it in America, above all those countries in the Third World, who were in such great need of a project such as this one.
The walls of the barracks are covered with portraits of the Venezuelan president, as well as with his personal belongings and photos of key moments in his eventful life. An iconic picture of him addressing millions of supporters during the closing act of his last presidential campaign has pride of place on the wall.
Esa fotografía que está en esa lluvia.
That photo in the rain, I don't know how to explain what happened there. Maybe it was, that day was the day of San Francisco de Assisi. And that rain is what we call the legend of the cord of San Francisco. That water is blessed. He wanted to say goodbye to his people. It was a farewell to his people.
A goodbye fitting for a leader who was widely known, not as a man, but as synonymous with the people. Every day there is a steady flow of visitors to the mountain barracks where Hugo Chavez is laid to rest. Both Venezuelan citizens and people from afar all come to pay their respects to a revolutionary leader who even in death is still capable of moving and inspiring those who share his vision to construct a world based on social justice. My name is Rachel Boothroyd, Telesur, Caracas, Venezuela.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.